Good afternoon. I know by this time we're sort of running late, and I know I'm the last person that's holding you from lunch, so usually it's a bad position to be in. And then also, as the introduction has I'm a lecturer at UC Berkeley, and last night when I was told that I have 10 minutes to make this presentation, you don't know how difficult that is for a lecturer to keep things within 10 minutes, but I'll try because I know you're going to stampede me to go to lunch. So what I'm going to talk about today is really sort of a different perspective on how we can take a look at IT, or information technology, or basically information. Okay, most of you in here have cell phones. And then I find out in Indonesia, actually, most of you have 3 cell phones. So it's really great. And what we'll talk about is immense here. The future is very, very bright for this technology and to be applied in Indonesia. So the objective actually this afternoon, rather than showing you complex and so forth, I want to do 3 things, okay? Just like most lecturers, I can't avoid having to have to teach you something. So I want you to sort of spark, all right, an imagination of what the future can be. But this is your job, not mine. I'm just going to hear and hopefully get you that spark. Okay? I will present a couple of examples of really how Indonesia has already basically contribute to the potential of this future. Okay? And then of course at the end, as most teachers do, hopefully I will, by the end, inspire all of you to think outside of the box. Okay? And that's really important. Okay? So a different perspective, okay, on the world of IT. To most of you, or to most people with IT, it's okay, information that's on a database somewhere. In the office, everything's linked up on the internet. You type things, you can go to the server, and get data, and so forth. Okay, and telephone. Everybody has a telephone. Okay? But in my perspective, is now imagine. Imagine in a future where machines are actually talking through the phone. Okay? Or they're communicating via the internet, all right? And okay, don't worry, this is not like, okay, machines are going to take over the future. That was what happened before, and they haven't done it yet, okay? But this is what I want you to see is visualize it, okay? Especially here in Indonesia, you know that the telecom business is already extremely big, and these are with people that are just using it. Imagine if every machine is going to use it. Imagine if your car is going to make a phone call. But I'll explain what that means, okay? So what you want to see is sensors, right? Sensors are basically, temperature measurements. We all know that. I'm going to try not to be too academic. Things that measure acceleration on your car. That's when the airbag goes off. So everywhere. Sensors are around us everywhere. I mean, in terms of this room being kept cool, right? Somewhere there's temperature being measured. Your phone, okay? It is a walking sensor platform, okay? There are 3 accelerometers there that tells, right, the phone, how you're holding it, how it's actually moving, okay? Then of course you have GPS, and believe it or not, somewhere in the world, someone knows where you're walking, where you're going. That information's already there, okay? Although it seems like it's the future, it's actually already here, okay? So, right, like I said, for some of us, this future is already here, okay, all the sensors. So one of the things that I want to talk about, and something that I've worked on, is really look at, let's say, buildings. And of course, when I arrived here, there's a lot of buildings in Indonesia, so it's really nice. But imagine in the future, right, if a building can educate us, right, in terms of the efficiency, how well its efficiency is, how well it is to be built, okay? Using measured data, okay, it became more intelligent so that, again, it is a lot more efficient in terms of the use of power, okay? Right, and then also now, which is the new thing, is really, we talk about building green buildings, okay? And most of these are really on the design level. You design something, gets evaluated, it says, okay, you have a LEED certification, the building is green. Then the building is built, and then what happens? How green do we know if it's green? Okay, if people in their complaints it's too hot, it's too noisy, what have you, then okay, maybe it's not as green as it is. But now, people want to know. But in a place where everybody's trying to be efficient, right? They don't want to fly an expert out there every time to sit there and analyze this data. So now what happens is with something like this, we send someone out there to deploy it. It's all deployed, and then we sit back in our office anywhere, okay, anywhere, to look and analyze the data. Okay, this is sort of some of what the architecture is. There are technologies where now we have a network of sensors that are tied in together. It then transfers the data. Just think about it. It's a sensor that's just sitting there, it's all turned on, it transfers the data. Okay, early on there was talk about battery technologies for the car. Okay, here, same thing. There's battery technology and electronic technology that makes these sensors very small and very low power. So basically you can deploy it, and we've had systems deployed out there, and for 3 years, we don't have to change the battery. And they're constantly just sending data, okay? And then you use the data. The other aspect in terms of where the future is we now need people and programmers, okay, to program how to visualize the data. The ability to collect data and massive amount of data is already there. But when that data becomes useful, how that data can be sold to somebody, okay, to be someone where it is. You can develop an economy around useful information like this. You have to be able to present it, okay? And to present this, we need programmers and tons of programmers, okay? So then you get a report like this, and these reports can be sitting there monitoring and telling you if the building, if something is wrong, okay, if something is failing, using too much energy and so forth. It's all about recording data and recording trends and then being able to make decisions on it, okay? This is our next generation. By the way, I wanted to show this. This is a major way in which it's contributed to this technology. As you'll notice the name on the building. Oops, pushing the wrong button. Go backwards. Okay, it's Wirjawan Hall. Okay, as you notice, right, this is a building that was contributed in terms of the funding by Sehat and Pantas Suteja, which is 2 students at UC Berkeley. Okay, and I wanted to show this and show this building. We actually make measurements on this building. There's research that's going on in this building. The main effort is to sort of elaborate in terms of what the minister has said. I'm glad to have heard that there will be a potential of 48 million students that will be going all over the world. Hopefully a percentage of them will come to UC Berkeley. But one thing I want to stress, okay, and I want to show this building, is the number of Indonesian students that are actually at UC Berkeley, especially those that are studying engineering, is not that many. But the ones that do, that are there, they end up contributing a tremendous amount to society. Okay, basically, right, Sehat and Pantas, they started Marvel. So now what happens is, this gives an opportunity where I could be here, right? Someone could have a company that's here, accessing data of the building halfway around the world and analyzing it and producing results. You don't have to be there where the building is. Right? What the internet has provided is that this global world is accessible anywhere. And there's no way, if you design a page like this, there's no way someone will know that that's actually designed here, although we would want it to be designed here, right? But there's no aspect, it's totally transparent. And by the way, if you type in that site, you can actually see more live data, even through your phone, okay? So the other aspect that I want to show, the rest of these examples are just sort of contribution that Indonesians have had, and it's another aspect of IT. But I want you sort of to imagine, okay, not just the phone and so on, but basically how you control information transfer. On this, basically, is the exoskeleton that is worked on, right? It is the ability to make someone actually walk and carrying a heavy load. Now it is used and it is being addressed to address sort of the senior population, okay? Mainly Honda is actually building, not actually this version, but they're building versions to address for seniors to be able to walk. And what happens here is basically in order for the robot to work, you have to have a network on the leg itself. And again, it's information transfer. Sounds like cars. This is basically a quad rotor. And I only want to show this is because a lot of the technologies that I'm actually showing that's here, these are built by 4 students. 2 of the students happen to be Indonesian students that are taking my class. Okay, these are not necessary technologies that are, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to invest. This is the early beginning. What this is going to be used for is that the state wants to measure and find underground water flow. So eventually these copters will actually have infrared cameras. We'll be able to see thermal imaging of the ground, and then we'll be able to find underwater freshwater sources. By the way, that's the campus. You're not aware of it. Okay, we can stop the video. Go back to the slide. Okay, so to conclude and to finish it up, okay, I just wanted to say before we leave, you saw some of these aspects, but don't just look at it as these technologies and what you can totally apply to technology, but I want you to think about it in a little bit more broader form, okay? Imagine what you can do. There are millions of cell phones that are out there. All of these cell phones can measure temperature pretty much. They can measure where you are, where you're going, and so forth. Before, someone who wants to get this data, to make useful information of this data, would have to buy all these sensors. Right now you don't. You have to come up with a plan, you have to come up with some incentives, so that anyone that's using the cell phone, you can track sort of information from them. And then you can use this useful information to create an entire business model, right? Imagine now, instead of you going on a scheduled maintenance of your car, the car can tell you, hey, you need to bring me to the shop. I need to be fixed. Something is not right. Now, it's not meant for you to interpret the data, but someone can create an application where you subscribe to it, and then that application will sit there and gather data from your car. It'll sit there and record the trends, and all you need to do is see, is there any difference in trend? Has something actually have changed? Is there something wrong? Okay? Other aspect is also, yeah, imagine, fashion. Okay, these are just glimpses of ideas. Okay, but technologies are being worked on that this is happening. Okay, sensors are going to become small enough, they're going to make lower enough power. By virtue of you walking, you will be injecting energy to these sensors. Okay, so imagine a clothes that have these sensors. And it can sit there and all of a sudden you're walking and a doctor will call you up and say, hey, stop walking. You're going to get a heart attack in about 2 minutes. Okay, it can happen. You just have to sort of imagine it. Okay? So to me, I see, I can't even stop seeing how bright the future is in terms of at least the development of the technology. Okay? And it's only where your imaginations take you. All right? Thank you.